There's a difference between knowing about power and feeling it. You can know theology, memorize verses, attend church service, but until you've actually encountered His power, you're still just reading the manual. The power of Jesus Christ isn't the kind that makes your life easier. It makes your life different. When Jesus called Peter from his fishing boat, Peter didn't just get a new job. His entire identity was rebuilt from the ground up. When Jesus encountered Paul on the road to Damascus, Paul didn't just change his mind. He was literally knocked off his horse and blinded by the encounter. When Jesus cast demons out of the man in the tombs, the man didn't just feel better. He went from living naked among the dead to sitting clothed and in his right mind. This is power that disrupts everything it touches. You feel this power when it breaks into your carefully constructed life and rearranges everything. When it takes your 5-year plan and writes a completely different story. When it looks at your comfortable Christianity and says, "We're going deeper." The power of Christ has a way of bringing things to light that we'd rather keep hidden. It's like a spiritual X-ray that sees through all our pretenses, all our masks, all our carefully maintained images. When the woman at the well met Jesus, His power didn't just give her living water. It exposed her 5 failed marriages and her current living situation. When Zacchaeus encountered Christ, that power didn't just bring salvation to his house. It exposed his greed and prompted him to pay back 4 times what he had stolen. You feel this power when it illuminates the corners of your heart you thought no one could see. When it brings your secret struggles into the light, not to shame you, but to free you. When it shows you who you really are beneath all the religious performance and cultural Christianity. This exposure isn't comfortable, but it's necessary. You can't be healed from wounds you won't acknowledge. You can't be freed from chains you pretend aren't there. But here's where the power of Jesus becomes beautiful. It doesn't just expose, it transforms. It doesn't just reveal what's broken, it makes all things new. This isn't the power of positive thinking or self-improvement. This is the power that raised Lazarus from the dead after 4 days in the tomb. This is the power that turned water into wine, that multiplied loaves and fish, that calmed storms with a word. You feel this power when old desires simply fall away without you having to white-knuckle your way to victory. When you realize you haven't struggled with that sin in months because something fundamental shifted in your heart. When you find yourself loving people you used to hate, forgiving people who don't deserve it, hoping when circumstances scream hopelessness. The power of Christ isn't passive. It demands a response. It's not content to be acknowledged or admired from a distance. It calls for surrender, for trust, for complete abandonment to His lordship. When Jesus told His disciples to leave their nets and follow Him, that power was demanding everything. When He told the rich young ruler to sell his possessions, that power was demanding radical obedience. When He told would-be followers to count the cost, that power was demanding honest assessment of what discipleship actually requires. You feel this power when it confronts your conditional obedience, when it asks for the very thing you don't want to give up, when it calls you to step out of the boat in the middle of a storm, when it demands that you love your enemies, bless those who curse you, turn the other cheek. This demanding nature isn't cruelty. It's the power of infinite love that refuses to let you settle for anything less than the abundant life He died to give you. But here's what makes the power of Christ different from every other force in the universe. It doesn't just make demands, it provides the strength to meet them. It doesn't just call you to die to self, it gives you resurrection life. It doesn't just ask for everything, it supplies everything you need. You feel this sustaining power when you're asked to do something impossible, and find that impossible grace meets you exactly where you are. When you're called to forgive the unforgivable and discover that forgiveness flows from a source deeper than your emotions. When you're asked to love unconditionally and find that His love through you is stronger than your human limitations. This is the power that enabled Stephen to pray for his executioners while they stoned him to death. This is the power that sustained Paul through shipwrecks, beatings, and imprisonment. This is the power that has carried millions of believers through persecution, suffering, and martyrdom for 2,000 years. The power of Jesus Christ is the only power that has actually defeated death, not just delayed it, not just made peace with it, but conquered it completely. On the cross, this power absorbed every sin, every curse, every consequence that should have fallen on us. In the resurrection, this power proved that nothing, not death, not hell, not the grave, can contain it. You feel this conquering power when fear loses its grip on your decisions, when death loses its sting, and you realize that to live is Christ, and to die is gain. When you understand that if God is for you, nothing can be against you in any way that ultimately matters. This power makes you dangerous to the kingdom of darkness and invaluable to the kingdom of light. You can go through life knowing about this power, or you can experience it. You can read about transformation, or you can be transformed. You can study the Bible, or you can encounter the living Word who leaps off the pages and into your reality. The choice is surrender. Not the one-time altar call surrender, though that's important, but the daily, moment-by-moment surrender that says, "Your will, not mine. Your way, not mine. Your power, not mine." When you make that choice, really make it, not just with your words, but with your life. That's when you discover what the disciples discovered, that the same power that spoke the universe into existence, that parted the Red Sea, that raised the dead, is living inside you. Here's the promise. If you're willing to feel the full weight of Christ's power, the disrupting, exposing, transforming, demanding, sustaining, conquering power, you'll discover that it's not just sufficient for whatever you're facing. It's abundant. It's overflowing. It's more than enough. You'll find yourself saying with Paul, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me," and actually meaning it, not as positive self-talk, but as lived reality. You'll discover that His power is made perfect in weakness, which means your limitations become launch pads for His limitless ability. You'll experience what it means to be more than a conqueror through Him who loved us. This is the power of Jesus Christ, not a concept to understand, but a reality to experience, not a doctrine to believe, but a person to encounter. And once you've felt it, really felt it, everything else becomes background noise to the symphony of His strength working in and through your surrendered life. The power is real, available, and waiting. The question is, are you ready to feel it?